Welcome to the Manders Mindset Podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Have you ever found yourself at the end of the day wondering where all the time went? If so, this episode is for you. In this episode, I will talk about 3 key aspects of effective time management. The first one being awareness and how understanding where your time goes can transform your daily routine. The second one being time audits, which are a powerful tool to help you track and optimize your time usage. And lastly, a habit and different strategies to help build and maintain habits that support your goals and eliminate the habits that don't support your goals. These insights will help you gain control over your time and boost your productivity. So many people are unaware of how much time they spend doing certain activities. And I am guilty of it myself as well. We can't change what we aren't aware of. Awareness is the state of being aware or having knowledge of something. Awareness can be something you notice, something you want to tell others about, or something you already know. I've referenced a few different times on a few different episodes about my morning routine that I used to have that was 3 hours long. And I make jokes of this, but the biggest thing is I was unaware that I was spending 3 hours on my morning routine. It's not something I was able to change because I wasn't aware of it. We can't change anything in our lives that we are unaware of. People often talk about awareness and about becoming more aware of your life, of your surroundings, of how you're utilizing your time. But how do you become more aware? Well, now that we've talked about the importance of being more aware, I want to introduce you to something called a time audit, which is something I did within my own life, and it transformed how I spend my time. Now, a time audit is a process of tracking how you spend your time over a period of time to help you make better decisions about how to use your hours. A time audit will create more awareness about how and where you're spending your time. It was when I did a time audit that I uncovered I was spending 3 hours in the morning before I would go to work, and not even realizing I was spending this much time. But it was the time audit that made me aware of this. A time audit, you can do it in 15-minute increments or 30-minute increments. Either is really great, but writing down every single thing you do every 15 minutes, from the moment you wake up to the moment you get into bed at night. I also highly recommend doing a time audit on 2 different types of days, on a day when you are working and on a day when you are not working. Whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you're an entrepreneur, doing a time audit 2 different days. One, when you are working, whether it's on your own business, going into the office, and then one day when it's an off day, when you don't have meetings, when you're not going to your regular job, when you have your free day, per se, to really see how your time is being spent on these 2 different types of days. And now with the time audit, you want to be very specific, from what time you leave your house and get in the car, how long it takes you to drive to work, what time you get out of the car in the parking lot and walk inside, all of the specifics. You want to be very detailed so you can fully see where your time is being spent. I'm going to give you an example of how I uncovered my 3-hour morning routine. I go to the gym in the morning, and back then when I first did this time audit, I would go to the gym before I would go to my 9 to 5 at the law office, and I was waking up very early in the morning and not understanding where my mornings were going. I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not having to be at work until 9 a.m., and not understanding why I was rushing around at 8:30 to get to work. It's because of how I was utilizing my time, and I was unaware of that until I did a time audit. Then I uncovered I'm spending so long at the gym, but it's not my training session that is taking me so long at the gym. I noticed and I uncovered because I was doing this time audit even throughout while I'm at the gym. Because after I lift, I get on the treadmill, which isn't a bad thing. Getting some steps in, walking on the treadmill after my lift. However, I uncovered through the time audit that I was spending almost an hour on the treadmill socializing with one of my friends, which is a fine thing to do, but it was something that I was unaware of. And it was 45 to 50 minutes I was spending doing this. That's a lot of time. An hour is 4% of our day. I had almost 4% of my day that I was unaware of where it was being spent until I did the time audit. Now, with the time audit, again, you want to be specific. Say you get to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning. You want to still time audit your time while you're at the gym. This long, I did this exercise. I was on this machine for this long, so that you can see from a bigger picture where the time is being spent. Had I just listed on my time audit that I got to the gym at 5 a.m. and I left the gym at 7:45 a.m., I would not have had a picture or an understanding of what transpired in those 2 hours and 45 minutes. But because I was doing this time audit even while I was at the gym, I was able to get the full picture. I recommend doing a time audit, pen and paper. It connects with your brain differently by writing it down. However, even when I was at the gym that day, I was doing my time audit in the notes on my phone, and then I put them on the physical time audit once I left the gym. Whatever works for you, but you want the time audit to be specific, and you don't want it to be any longer of a duration than 30 minutes because that is too much time to pass to see what you did. Creating a time audit will help you become more aware of where your time is actually going. And if you want to continue spending your time how you are, you can. Or you can adjust it because now you're aware of where your time is going. Even like me, for example, I was unaware I was spending as long as I was on the treadmill after my workout, socializing with my friends. And now, not that I can't do that, but it's something worthwhile to be aware of. I highly encourage you guys to conduct your own time audits to really see and become aware of where your time is going. And I wanted to make this super simple for you guys to be able to conduct your own time audits. There is a link in the show notes that you can click to get a workbook on all of this with different journaling prompts about the time audit, about awareness, and actual sheets of a time audit that you can use on your phone or you can print out and physically write it down. So far, we've covered awareness and time audit. And now we're going to discuss habits. Now, habits are super important, and you can utilize the insights that you gained from the time audit to help create and maintain habits that support better time management. It was the time audit that helped me become aware of my habit of walking on the treadmill and socializing for an hour, 5 days a week. And now that I was aware of that from the time audit, I can either continue to do this habit or I can adjust the habit because I'm aware that it exists. It's very difficult to break an unproductive habit if you're unaware that you're even doing it. And I was unaware of the frequency that I was engaging in this habit. Now, after I did the time audit, I adjusted this habit. So instead of doing this 5 days a week, I didn't want to have no social time with some of my friends. So now it's something I do 2 times a week. And finding what works best for you, what habits you want to continue building on, and what habits you want to eliminate and break because they are unproductive and not helping you or serving your highest and best interest. A really great way to adjust your habits, whether that be creating and implementing new ones or breaking old ones that are not serving you anymore, is by using the time audit to see what habits you're engaging in. It will show you, this is what you did. This is what you did at this time. This is what you did at this time. Also, doing it 2 different days, you will see what habits you engage in on a day you work and on a day you don't work. This will create so much awareness, which is the best way to start implementing any change in your life. After I did the time audit 2 different days, I was now aware that my time at the gym, I was spending so much time there, and it didn't need to be. It was unproductive for me. It had reached that point. I was walking on the treadmill. Yes, I'm getting steps in. I'm socializing with a friend of mine. However, it was too much in my eyes to the point of it being unproductive. So I was able to adjust that because I saw that it happened. It was something I did when I worked, and it was something that I did when I wasn't working. That being said, I made the adjustment, but now I was aware that I was spending an hour walking on the treadmill and socializing with my friends, whether I was working or whether I wasn't. So then this was something I was able to look at and think, this isn't something I want to stop completely because it's something I enjoy socially. It gives me extra steps. It's not harming me, but it is not a productive habit that is something I want to continue on a consistent basis. That being said, I decided I would do this no more than twice a week. It still gives me the opportunity to socialize with my friends, but I am also not spending that much time at the gym 5 days a week. It's once or twice. Gives me the ability to still engage in this habit that I enjoy, but not to engage in it on a consistent everyday basis. And that is up for you to decide how you want to adjust your habits. The time audit is also a great way to allow yourself to introduce and implement new habits that you want to instill in your daily routine, because you will be able to see where your time's currently going. Now, when I adjusted my time and my habits to not be walking on the treadmill 5 days a week, socializing with my friends, I also started adjusting when I would be walking. Walking is something that I really enjoy. I love moving my body. I'm a big proponent of all types of movement. Whether I put a podcast on in my headphones and I go for a nice walk, or I'm just by myself enjoying the fresh air. I love walking. Now, I decided I'm not going to walk on the treadmill for an hour 5 days a week. How can I still get my steps in, enjoy my walks, but not do this in an unproductive way? Because it had reached the point when I was doing it 5 days a week at the gym for an hour. It's wasting time in my eyes, looking at it on a piece of paper. So I decided I'm going to start going for a walk on my lunch break. And I started doing that. So I would go for a walk on my lunch break. After I eat my lunch, go for a walk. Sometimes I'd listen to a podcast. Sometimes I would just enjoy the fresh air. But it was a way I implemented a better positive habit, because I also noticed from the time audit that my lunch breaks, I was eating lunch and I wasn't doing anything that productive. I was either scrolling social media, or I couldn't consistently say, this is what I'm getting done at lunch. It was random, useless things that I didn't need to. So I started adjusting the habit and added the habit of walking on my lunch break. Another thing I noticed when I did my time audit was that I had a lot of habits I was engaging in the morning, before I started my workday, before I did the rest of my day. Now, taking this step back, becoming more aware and seeing the time audit, I was also able to adjust my habits and continue engaging in the habits that I want to, that are productive for me, but at different times of day. For example, I used to read 10 pages every morning, which contributed to my 3-hour morning routine. Well, after I did this time audit, I started reading at a different time. When I read, sometimes it was at lunch, sometimes it was before bed, but it changed. And now the time audit was what helped me see all of these habits that I was doing in the morning. Now, if I spread the habits out throughout the day, they wouldn't all have to be done in the morning. And then I wouldn't have a 3-hour morning routine. Biggest piece of advice I can give you guys when wanting to implement a habit is to start small. To start by doing it in the smallest way possible. If you want to start moving more, that could be a 5-minute walk every day. It doesn't have to be this grand old big thing. Your habits are more likely to stick if you start off by implementing them in small ways and slowly creating the identity that you are the person who does whatever the habit is. And now, adopting the habit of I read every day, but I don't have a set time when I read every day, has allowed me the space to still complete this habit, which is helping me and helping me grow, but also allowed me the flexibility of not being tied to completing it at a set time every single day. Because a dear friend of mine, and you'll hear him on the podcast very soon, John Rivers, has said to me that I really encourage y'all to always remember this. No day is the same, so why does every single day have to look the same? This was something he said to me the first day I was unable to complete my full 3-hour morning routine because I was physically in the car for the whole day. And it ruined my whole mood. It ruined my whole day. And for what? There was one day that happened to not go the way my normal routine goes. But again, that's why I encourage you to do the time audit 2 different types of days. A day when you're working and a day when you're not working and you don't have the same type of responsibilities that you normally do on a work day. It'll really help you see the full, bigger picture of it all. As I mentioned, the best way to implement and create a habit is to start small. The best way to break a bad habit is also to start small. To not just give it up cold turkey right away, by slowly reducing the amount of times you're engaging in it and stepping away from it. It will be easier than just never doing it again. I'm not talking about these really negative habits. I'm talking about the example of me walking for an hour on the treadmill. Me reducing that from 5 times a week to 2 times a week made it much easier for me to consistently do that as opposed to just stopping it cold turkey. And now I highly encourage you guys to take the time audit that you did and really review what habits you're engaging in. What habits did you engage in on the workday and on the day you didn't work? What habits do you only do when you don't work? Becoming aware of when you engage in certain habits will help you become aware more about your productivity and how to be more productive. So in summary, we talked about awareness and the importance of being aware of where your time goes and how so many of us are not aware of where our time is going. And honestly, I thought I was. And it wasn't until I did this time audit that I realized I had no idea where my time was actually going. And a time audit is a process of tracking how you spend your time over a period of time to help you make better decisions about how to use your hours. A time audit will create awareness about how and where you're spending your time. And again, I encourage you to do a time audit within 15-minute increments or 30-minute increments, because you don't want it any longer than that, because it won't help you be aware of where the time is being spent. And lastly, we talked about habits and how to create and maintain habits that will enhance your productivity, and also how to remove habits that are not enhancing your productivity. The time audit will also allow you the opportunity to reduce or eliminate the habits that are not serving your highest and best good. To wrap up, we covered the importance of being aware of where your time goes, because so many of us are unaware of how much time we spend doing certain things. And as you guys know, I say it all the time, we're here, then we're not. We're not getting any time back. You can replace and get more of anything except time. And now we discussed the time audit. And a time audit is a process of tracking how you spend your time over a period of time to help you make better decisions about how to spend your hours. A time audit will create more awareness about how and where you're spending your time. And by conducting the time audit on 2 different days, it will help create awareness around what habits you're engaging in, how often you're engaging in these habits, what habits you want to engage in more, what habits you want to reduce, because you will be able to see the frequency of these habits in your life on 2 different days, on 2 different occurrences. I really encourage you guys to become more aware of how you're spending your hours and do a time audit of your life on 2 different days. With that being said, I hope this helps you guys take back control of your time. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, then I invite you to download my workbook in the show notes, which consists of journal prompts as well as a time audit that you can use. You can download on your phone or you can print out, and really help you become more aware of what you uncover after doing the time audit. Thank you guys for tuning in to Manda's Mindset. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you left me a 5-star rating, left a review on Apple Podcasts, and share this episode with anyone you think needs to take control of their time. And as always, guys, I'm going to keep showing up, and I hope you do too. Thanks, guys. Until next time.